Namaskar, I am Assistant Professor Kritika De from LG School of Law, and the topic we'll be dealing with today is forgery and counterfeiting. So we'll be dealing with two topics here. One is forgery and the other is counterfeiting. I guess when it comes to forgery, you must have heard this term. You must have heard this term when it comes to checks or any document. Bit familiar term. Counterfeiting, I'm not sure about that. But after this lecture, you'll be sure about both the terms. You'll know the ingredients, you'll know the offense completely. So let's move on to it. Now here, what can you see on your screen? Somebody writing or somebody signing something? Now, if at all, let's take an example in order to understand what forgery is. If somebody tries to copy your signature on your check, what would that be? Everybody has their own respective signature, but today I have my own signature, you have your own signature. What if I tries to copy your signature and tries to make one check? Now, wouldn't that be forgery? That wouldn't be termed as copying. That would term as forgery. That would lead to forgery. Now, before actually understanding forgery in detail, let's see how a document is being forged. What do we mean by making false documents, right? So, in order to understand that, let's see this very section, that is section 464 of Indian Penal Code, which talks about making a false document. Right, once the document is made, of course, falsely, then that same document would lead to forgery. And what are the elements which actually makes it forgery, that we will see. But before reading forgery, we need to know, of course, this section technically comes after forgery. But I thought in order to make you understand in a better way, you need to first know what is making of a false document is, and then reading what forgery is. Right? So I have taken this section before forgery. Forgery is being defined under section 463 of Indian Penal Code, whereas right now we are reading making a false document, which is there under section 464 of Indian Penal Code. Right? Now what the section says, for C there should be a dishonest or a fraudulent intention. Right? Any of these two could be there. And now the making of a false document could be, of course, false document as in the hard document, the paper that we can see, right? That hard paper could be on that, or false electronic record. Now, when it comes to a false document, as I'm saying, the hard copy of a document, it could be making a document simply, like coming up altogether with a false document, actually not in existence, but you come up with a false document. For say, you come up with a false 10th mark sheet. You never passed 10th, but you come up with a 10th mark sheet. You never passed 10th. How are you coming with a 10th mark sheet? Then that is completely a making of a false document. So you have made it. So making a false document, signing a document. For say you bought a certificate from outside, you had something, you had a document, but the sign was required. The document is genuine, but it will become obviously genuine when the sign of the authorized person is there and you try to sign by yourself. Right, so you sign that, you put your signature, though you're not the authorized person, then you made that very false document by signing or by putting a seal, right, or by executing that document. So that will be, you did that either dishonestly or fraudulently, and you made that very document either by making, signing, or sealing, putting a seal on it, or by executing it. Right, so by this we can mean that it leads to making a false document. Now, when it comes to electronic record, what do you think? What do we understand by electronic record here is, first say you are making any changes to the electronic record, you are putting up your signature on the electronic record. Of course, you can fix up your signature on the electronic record as well. Right, and as I said, you're amending anything in the electronic record, then by that you're making a false document. Okay, so this is about making a false document. You are making a false document. So that making is there under section 464, two kinds, the hard copy as I said, and the electronic medium, that is the false electronic record, right? So now we will read what forgery is, because now we are clear with these terms, as you can see on your respective screens, that whoever makes any false document or false electronic record. So now you know why I took that section before this very section, in order to make you understand what a false document is or what a false electronic record is, right? Or part of a document or electronic record. Maybe the whole document or maybe just a part of it. Maybe when it comes to mark sheet, I just amended some of my marks. So the whole document is not forged, but I actually amended some of the marks. I gave some extra marks to myself on that very, 10th report card. But they were not so in reality. So I made certain amendments. So it could be a part of a document or the electronic record with intent to cause damage or injury to the public or to a person, or to support any claim or title, or to cause any person to part with property, or to enter into any express or implied contract, or with intent to commit fraud. Now, and if it is done with any of these intentions, that then it leads to forgery. So as I've read everything, so let's see it quickly with the ingredients one by one. So here the first one is cause damage to public or to any person. Now if you know sign by name of some person, then of course that person will be prosecuted, right? So you're trying to put cause any damage to the other person whose sign you're putting on the on that very document, right? Or you're putting that in order to support any claim or title for, say, the property papers. Now you're doing it in order to get the title of the property, in order to become the owner of the property. So if you do that on the property paper, you do so in order to get the title of the property, to cause any person to part from the property, or you sign on such a paper that it parts a person from the property, correct? Or to enter into any contract. Now there was as such no contract between you and the other party, but you try to make a forged document and then you claim later on that there was a contract between me and that party. So you does so in order to enter into a contract by making that very false document, or the very simple thing, in order to commit fraud. So when you do these things, by making a false document or an electronic record, or making any part of the false that document or the electronic record, in order to do any of these, then you commit forgery, right? And when it comes to forgery, the punishment is being given under section 465 of Indian Penal Code. The punishment is imprisonment of 2 years, right? Fine, or both. So when it comes to, you can easily say fine or both. So when it comes to these two, either it could be imprisonment or fine, or it could be both. Now quickly let's move on to the definition, or let's see what counterfeiting means. So when it comes to counterfeit is defined, the definition is given under section 28 of Indian Penal Code. Of course, the offense is mentioned under the whole thing, the whole ingredients and everything is mentioned under other section, but the hardcore definition is given under section 28 of Indian Penal Code. So it says that trying to resemble anything in order to practice deception. Right. So can you see that very stamp which is there on that picture? So here counterfeit is written for, say, if you try to resemble anything like that, or trying to resemble a coin, there is an offense related to coin counterfeiting. So you're trying to actually give that resemblance in order to practice deception. So let's see what the whole offense is and under which section it has been mentioned. So when it comes to counterfeiting, it is mentioned under section 467 of Indian Penal Code. Now what does this section says? Whoever makes or counterfeits any seal, plate, or other instrument for making an impression intending that the same shall be used for the purpose of committing any forgery, which would be punishable under section 467 of this code, or with such intent, has in his possession any seal, plate, or other instrument, knowing the same to be counterfeit, shall be punished with imprisonment for life or with imprisonment of either description for a term which shall not be less than 7 years, and shall also be liable to fine. So here you could see there was some technical error. Now you could see the section is section 472, right? So there was some mistake while I was writing. So you can kindly correct it. It is section 472, of course. And in this we have seen what is there when it comes to counterfeiting. So we have seen in the definition that it is about resemblance, right? So now somebody's counterfeiting. Counterfeiting means the person is trying to resemble any seal or plate or other instrument or making an impression, right? And that same seal or plate should be used for forgery, right? That same seal in the when it comes to forgery, we have seen that person is putting a seal. Right. But when it comes to making up that seal, you're getting my point. When somebody makes a seal, first, if you're working in an institution, now somebody tries to resemble the seal of your institution. Now, the person who puts that seal will be under forgery, but the person who has actually made that very seal. Now, could be two different person, could be the same person, whosoever. Now, somebody who has resembled that very seal will be booked under this section. And as we can see, the punishment is bit more. It is imprisonment for life or imprisonment of either description for a term which makes it into 7 years, and shall be liable for fine. So it is an and, no option whether fine should be given or imprisonment should be given. Both things are being given here. So with this, as I can see, but kindly correct that, right? The section that I've told you. With this, I guess everything is clear in your mind from by now. Earlier, you just had a blur view about what forgery and counterfeiting is, but now I guess you have a clear idea about the same. With this, I would like to rest my lecture, and as I always say, keep reading, keep revising. Studying is really good, so you should study. And thank you for listening.